everybody, welcome to our abandoned Alaskan homestead.
Welcome back to the channel. We received a lot of questions about this cabin at our home here in Alaska, and today we're going to take you on a tour of the cabin. A little bit of backstory is we put in a bid on this property in October of 2022, and we became official owners in December of that same year. In January of 2023, we came down to the property as official owners. We dug our way in and we camped in an insulated tent in that cabin to start the cleanup process. We knew that cleanup was going to be a big job, but it was totally worth it because we were able to put in an offer for half of the asking price, knowing that there was a lot of cleanup that needed to be done. So let's go ahead and check out this cabin. First off, the biggest question that we're asked is, are we living in this cabin? And the answer is no, we are not living in it. This cabin is comprised of two different sections, and the first section is this 10 by 10 older side of the cabin. And according to folks that have lived around here for many years, they said that it's been around since approximately the 60s. This other side of the cabin over here is a bit newer. We believe that it was built by the gentleman that owned the property in the 90s. And this side of the cabin is a yurt style, meaning that it's an 8-sided cabin. Both this side of the cabin and the other side of the cabin look like they are comprised of logs that came straight from this property. And the reason that we believe that is because while we were clearing our land over near our garden, as well as over where we're building our cabin, there were a lot of trees that were cut down, smooth cut with a chainsaw. So we were pretty sure that they are built from trees around here. This middle section of the cabin seals both the older side and the newer side together, and there's really not much to it. It's just some plywood and some rough cut lumber. And as you can see from right here, the foundation is settling quite a bit. It's quite uneven from one side to the other. So we're gonna go check out the foundation and show you why this cabin has to come down eventually. This entire cabin is built on untreated tree logs, and unfortunately they have not fared well. In a lot of places they're rotting and just completely falling apart, and it's caused the cabin to sink down so far in some of the areas, and in some spots it's even sitting in the mud. Let's go check out one of the worst foundation posts and I'll show you what I'm talking about with the rotting. This foundation post has broken in half and it's rotted so bad that the wood inside is petrified. And this post in particular has caused this cabin to sink down quite a bit inside the cabin. It's a nice V shape in there where it's settled. There are two doors on this cabin, and this door leads into the old kitchen, which is now our chicken coop. And when we first got to this property, the door was wide open and the foundation had shifted so much that the door wouldn't close anymore. And we had to shave several inches off the door to be able to get it closed. Because of that, we just decided to screw the door shut and not use it anymore. You can also tell that this cabin was built by a lot of salvaged materials. Two of the windows on this cabin are made of plexiglass, and the rest of the windows you can tell were salvaged off of other homes here in the area because they all have mismatched trim.
What do you think? You think Diablo would use this little doggy door to go inside the cabin and out?
Something else about this cabin is the chinking was never sealed in, and so all of the fiberglass insulation is exposed. And when we were walking around the property right after we bought it, we found some squirrel nests with this insulation in it. And over the years, all of the squirrels and birds that have been picking at it have made a lot of gaps, as well as the settling foundation, allowing a lot of that chinking to fall out. On the other side of the cabin, the chinking is actually done with spray foam insulation. We're gonna head on inside and Chris is going to show you around in there.
Welcome to our humble Alaskan log mansion here. We made a big upgrade from our old Pennsylvania home. Come on in. This is the original cabin, a 10 by 10. At one time, this was all that was here back in the 60s. They had a little loft for a bedroom upstairs, which we have blocked off inside the chicken coop. We will be able to show you in there. We'll have to take a peek through one of the vent holes that they cut in the roof for heat to get in. If you guys seen our older video where we retrofitted the chicken coop, here's the chickens. They love it in here. When we first got here, this was actually a kitchen, and it had a cook stove right here where the chickens are. It had a couple of shelves with some 30-year-old canned salmon. There were dishes everywhere. I mean, it was a pretty big mess. They did not have any running water. They were bringing jugs of water up from the creek or a spring that they were fishing it out of. They did have some electric because they had batteries in here and they had wiring run outside for a generator. There was no generator. I'm sure it was probably stolen or whatever. The wiring that was in here was not good. It looked like it would catch on fire if you used it. It was very sketchy. Let's go check out that loft and we'll show you what the upstairs part of the bedroom looks like. They have this cutout up in the ceiling, it looks like, to allow heat from the wood stove to go up there to that little bedroom. I'll take you up there and show you through the vent hole and so you can see what the bedroom looks like. That's about it for the original part of the cabin. Let's head over to the newer half and check it out. As you can see, this side of the cabin, we're currently using it as a shed. It's working out really great for us to be able to spread out some of our belongings and have access to everything. When we first got here, this side was in total disarray. All of the original homesteaders' belongings were everywhere in here. Their clothes, it looked like a bear had came in and ransacked the place and just threw clothing and stuff everywhere. And it was also in really poor shape because from the foundation settling, it had cracked one of the glass skylights up above me and it was allowing water to pour into the cabin, and it had rotted out a couple sections of the flooring. So we had to come in, rip out all the carpet, patch the flooring, patch the roof. But now we have a really great temporary storage solution to keep everything dry and have a place to get out of the weather in here. As we were cleaning up in here, we found some of the documents explaining a lot of the history in here. What we found out is back in the 90s, a guy bought this place when it was just the original small 10 by 10 cabin and the goat trail inn. And he moved up here from California and wanted to try out homesteading. Over about 10 years' time, he had started a garden. He had a small spring box to get his water. He built this half of the cabin with the fireplace. And he did all that on his own in over about 10 years. And then he ended up falling ill and passing away. And he actually willed this property to someone else that had never even been to the property. It was just totally abandoned with everything after he passed away. There is a loft up in this part of the cabin too, which is a little bit bigger of a bedroom. There's still original bed up there and everything. They had a wood stove for heat in here in this corner, as well as the fireplace, which it looks like they gathered a lot of the stone off of the local beaches to build that fireplace. because there is no stone in the dirt here, so they had to have sourced that off of the beach shore more than likely. In the future, when we have a better storage solution for all of our belongings like a shed or a garage, we'll be able to clear all this out of here and start to dismantle this cabin. And we're hoping to reclaim a lot of these nice logs and a lot of this lumber, because there is a lot in here that can be reused for other projects. It's not completely ruined. It'll just take a lot of time to get it all apart and salvage it. But we are willing to do that, and I think that's a lot better of an option than just piling it all up and burning it, because there is a lot of usable material here. We got one more room to check out here, which is the loft. We're going to have to go up these sketchy stairs to get up there. We'll check it out. There's still a bed and everything, so you can get a feel for how the original homesteader was living in here. Watch your step, it's steep. This is the Visqueen Palace. They never did put any paneling in here or anything. It's just the plastic vapor barrier and insulation, and they had a bed and a dresser. And what was crazy is the bed was still made after all those years. This had been abandoned for 20 plus years, and the bed was still made like they had just left. It's kind of creepy. There was racks of clothes up here, everything. They just left everything. All their belongings were still here. As you can see over here, that's where we patched the roof, because there was a glass skylight there that had cracked from the foundation shifting, but we got rid of all that, so now it's weatherproof. There is still a lot of good lumber in this ceiling, though, to be salvaged, I believe, when we take it apart. There's a lot of good 2x8s or 2x10s, I'm not sure which they are. A lot of good plywood on the floor. We're going to try and salvage as much as we can to reuse for other projects. They'll work really good for sheds or small projects like that. That about covers it for up here. There's not a lot. It's pretty small. Let's head back down and we'll go check out a few other things.
Hello down there.
How you like your new bedroom up there? You ready to move in?
It's cozy and ready to go.
Oh, yeah. So I forgot to mention it, but these were also here from the original homesteader. They're probably roughly 20 to 30 years old as well. It's kind of like a wood shed and a tool shed or something like that combined together. We're using it now as a generator shed, and under here just for storage of lumber and wood. It's been working out good for that. It's really not built correctly. I'm surprised that it's holding the snow load that it is, but it's been holding up this kind of snow load for a long time. So hopefully it'll last us a few years until we can build something more permanent, and then we'll be able to tear this down, salvage what we can. I don't think there's a lot that we can salvage from this, though, because everything looks pretty rough. There's definitely a few good boards and a little bit of good metal, but there's so many holes in the metal and rust, it'll take a lot to patch them up and make them work good for something else. But as you can see right now, we're just storing a little bit of firewood in here, and we got our wood splitter out of the weather. And then inside of here is where we've been keeping our generators, just to keep them out of the weather. And we also keep our snow blowers in here, and a couple of tools and things like that, our fuel storage. So it's really been working out great for us to have all this, so we don't have everything just getting buried out in the snow and ruined. And we can kind of keep it organized and sheltered in here.